why is financial transparency so critical in the public sector, more so than in a private sector setting? Putanang, within the business, within PSTM, we work with both the private sector as well as the public sector, and it's very important that we focus on each one individually, because they've got different challenges, right? So, from a public sector perspective, one is dealing with public funds, right? When one is in that sector, is dealing with public funds. So the expectations and the controls that would be expected, they would be different from those of a public private sector company, for example. So maybe let's just look into a couple of scenarios in this regard. But perhaps to start off is, if you can just look at why is financial transparency so critical in the public sector, more so than in a private sector setting?
Okay, yeah, a very good question. So I think when one is in the public sector, when you're a public service employee or you are a contractor in any capacity, you are a custodian of public funds. And those funds are obviously used in executing various projects on behalf of the public or the citizens of this country in particular. And as such, financial transparency builds trust. So when we are transparent as custodians of the public funds, we build trust with the citizens. Where public funds are involved, citizens have always got a right to know where and how their money is being spent and what sort of impact is being achieved in the application of those funds. Transparency also strengthens accountability and supports better governance outcomes, which is really what we want, because we're wanting the economy to grow, we're wanting financial inclusion. We've got all sorts of government priorities that our government has signed up to and is wanting to implement. So public trust is built through visible and credible financial reporting. There's really no way around that. Okay, please could you tell us what are the biggest financial management challenges that government entities are facing today?
All right, I think for this one, it's best to refer to the recent reports from the Auditor General of South Africa, where they highlight several persistent financial management challenges within the public sector. These challenges include compliance pressures. So entities struggling with compliance, they are just not able to comply with the regulations that are put out there. Inadequate financial and information systems. So there are systems, but they're not addressing what needs to be addressed. Unresolved and or recurring audit findings. This is one of those areas that keeps on coming up. So it's one of the areas that has been highlighted to say we identify them. So the auditors will come identify the findings, but they're just not being addressed adequately. Ongoing capacity constraints. It's another area that as a challenge in the public sector, particularly in key finance and governance roles. So this will result in many institutions not being able to balance service delivery with the governance requirements. So they'll struggle to deliver on the requirements of their particular departments or their particular, basically to struggle to deliver on their mandate. So from a public sector perspective, it's important to understand that strong financial management is an essential enabler in delivering services. So for us to be able to have service delivery, we need strong financial management in the public sector.
Okay, and I think what we should also do then is provide a link to the AG report that you are referring to.
All right, Putanang, we just spoke briefly about the challenges within the public sector, and we highlighted that strong financial controls are one of the key areas that can assist the public sector in service delivery. So perhaps just tell us, how can this strong financial systems improve the service delivery in public sector?
Okay, that is a good question, and one that I think we often do not really understand. When we manage our finances very well in the public sector, we can plan properly. Government can plan properly. We've got controlled spending. Funds and resources are appropriately used and allocated appropriately as well. We're also ensuring that services are delivered on time and in full. I think we know the complaints about water, electricity, schools and space, etc., etc. Most of that would be eliminated if we put proper controls in place. There's healthcare as well. I think we all read about the issues around healthcare and how a lot of people have now got to rely on the private healthcare as opposed to public healthcare. So this means that citizens actually see and feel the impact of budgets. And remember, the budgets are the taxes that the citizens would have paid on a monthly basis, on an annual basis, etc., on whatever basis. They're able to see and feel the impact through better services, as well as the improved infrastructure that they get to benefit from. So good financial management rather turns public money into real, visible, and lived results for communities.
Which is exactly what we all want to see.
Yeah, all of us. Please, can you tell us then, what does good governance actually look like from a financial perspective?
All right. So it will sound like it's a repeat of what has been said, because these two go hand in hand. You cannot have governance without what I'm about to say now.
Yeah.
So from a good financial governance perspective, clear controls. It has to be very clear as to what are these controls, who does them, when do they get done, how do they get done. Very, very important. So clear controls is a must. Second one, I would say, is oversight. We've spoken about oversight. So proper oversight. You need to determine, do we need internal oversight or do we need to bring in an external oversight at this particular stage? It's very, very important. And again, accurate reporting. Accurate reporting. You cannot have governance if you cannot measure and report what you have been doing. So it's very, very important that you're able to accurately report. And last but not least, especially in the public sector, consequence management is critical. When one is working in the public sector, you are dealing with public funds. It's very important that you understand that not managing those funds properly has got consequences, because the citizens do feel that impact in the results of the lack of service delivery. So it's very important that we hold our public service, our public servants, we hold them accountable. It's very, very important that we hold them accountable. So yeah, and we did do a webinar a while back on governance in particular.
Yep.
So it's very, very important that we go back to that, perhaps, and just share with everyone in terms of just the reminders of basic governance. But governance goes hand in hand with controls. Mm-hmm. Let's look into how can accountants and auditors contribute to restoring public confidence?
Okay, accountants are the people that are there as part of the management team, making daily operational decisions, and they ensure that financial information and the systems that we are using in our finance reporting and handling are adequate, and they address as well. Earlier, you referred to recurring or repeat findings in the AG report. Yes, that's where we spoke about it. So your accountants are there to prevent those findings from happening, as well as they're going to address the skills and capacity issues in those key finance and governance roles, which obviously include compliance. It's very important that we don't leave compliance behind as we're trying to make these proactive decisions and plan, etc. Auditors, on the other hand, are not going to be there as part of your management team. Auditors are independent, and they will come in to provide independent assurance that the systems are working, that the funds have been used appropriately. And I say have been used because they will come after the fact. They will come in, after you've closed off your year end in March or in June, and then they are going to say, great, all of these funds that you've had have been used in line with the defined mandate. And their role is really critical in strengthening integrity and rebuilding trust. That's why for us, as you said, we are accountants and auditors. For us, it's always really important that we look at the report that comes from the AG. They do that on an annual basis, because it gives us a picture into understanding what's happening in the public sector. How far are we from that point of accountability and performance, good performance and service delivery to our citizens? Confidence is always restored when you've got accountability, or when accountability is enforced, and then you've got real transparency in your reporting, and it's visible. Okay, Dinyiko, please tell us what financial controls should public sector institutions have in place as custodians of public funds?
Right. So that's a critical question, but I believe that in the public sector, one of the most critical controls is budgeting discipline. It's very, very important that we are able to spend funds that are allocated to a particular service line, and we're able to deliver the mandate or deliver the services within the budget in full. The other one is expenditure monitoring, and this goes hand in hand with your budget. If you do have a budget, ensure that you are able to control that expenditure, monitor it. So do not go above the budget. So expenditure monitoring is very, very important. Again, going back to what we spoke about earlier, as I've said, these things are interrelated. We cannot have one without the other. Yeah. Segregation of duties. We cannot have somebody in procurement also being involved in doing payments, also being involved in doing reconciliations and so forth. It's very important that we are clear who does what in the business. So segregate those functions. Have your clear lines segregated within the business or within the entity, and adhering to the public finance management prescripts and the reporting frameworks. I mean, it's very, very important that we conduct our work in line with the Public Finance Management Act, for example, or the Municipal Management Finance Act. So it's very, very important that we stick to the financial management prescripts that are available within the particular sectors. These particular controls will prevent misuse and support effective oversight. The message is very, very simple. Public funds require public accountability.
To add on what you are saying is that we also, as the public, really have got to take the responsibility of understanding what actually is happening with our tax money. A lot of the time, we wait for the budget speech and we are happy that our tax tables have been adjusted, but we don't really get into the detail of what does the rest of the budget mean really, and how does it impact me and my life, and how does it impact the next generation, because it does. And so while, yes, we're speaking about this public accountability, there's also the public responsibility also to make sure that we understand what's happening with our money.
True.